Hello, everyone. So I will not repeat what he just said. It's exactly what we'll talk about, what it's like to work in trust and safety. So all types of companies, all businesses have their own dark sides, their shadows that they're fighting with. And that means, for instance, governments keep on fighting corruption. No matter how difficult it is, it's still out there. And no matter how good they are at battling, it's still something to fight. Financial companies, they fight anti-money laundering. And it's always, again, depending on a company, might be easier, might be harder, but it's still something that will just exist there. Vinted is a technology company. It's also a marketplace. So that means what we are fighting with are cybercriminals. In the industry, it's called bad actors, and I'm going to use that term as well today. It's not because somebody is actually bad at acting in some movies. It's just a general term that is used. So I have one slide that shows the trend in general of how cybercrime is growing. And even though I've chosen one company which keeps on investigating, and it shows that in 10 years it has grown 3 times, I could take any other dimension, be it in cybercriminals, meaning how many of the criminals are out there, how much cost it generates, how much incidents it generates for the company. Trends would look all exactly the same. So numbers can change, timeline can change, but the trend stays the same. So it's really worrying, and it's not Lithuania, it's not Europe, it's worldwide. It's just one pattern that exists everywhere. Why that is? It's threefolded. One, specifically in Europe, we had Russia invading Ukraine. That generated groups of criminals that joined forces across Ukraine, Russia, and Belarus. And there you have motivated people who are willing to do crime. Boost of technology is a second thing. It has never been as easy for someone who can learn coding just today and become a fraudster, just with tools that you can find on Darknet, on Telegram. It's cheap. It's not too complex to use. So whilst we are so happy with the boost of AI, so are bad actors. And that's another boost for why this spike is rising. And the third one is associated with the COVID and post-pandemic wave of people being let go. That has affected a lot of financial companies, and that means a lot of fraud people that were experts in the field had to move fast. How do you earn the money? So there you go. You have technology that's easy to use. You have experts in the field that know how the inside works, how to get to companies, and you have motivated people who can just gather into groups and form these criminals that target marketplaces. So what do we do at Vinted to fight this? Before jumping into specifically trust and safety, I'll elaborate a little bit how Vinted is in general organized and what's trust and safety role across the marketplace. So we have 8 domains. Each of them have a specific part in running the business. For example, growth is responsible for how do we scale. Monetization for value-added services such as ads, etc. Transactional experience, you buy, how does it feel, etc. Trust and safety, being one of the domains, and also being one of the largest domains, needs to run across. Bad actors don't target code ownership type of organization. They don't target the features that we own as a domain. Naturally, they target exactly the buy button. They target the wallets the users have, etc. So that means we collaborate with all the domains. It wouldn't be feasible for us to own everything. That would be easiest and fastest way to fix any vulnerability there is. But that means that as a domain, we own a lot of friction. We own a lot of checks and validations to understand whether this is good traffic, whether this is a legit user. But at the same time, vulnerabilities we fix are across the marketplace. So now let's look at trust and safety. We look at it as a funnel, which is constructed of 3 pillars. So the first one is literally the gate, security. That's login and registration. When a member comes into the platform, that's where we need to make sure that that traffic is not malicious, it's not suspicious. I don't remember who, but someone of us mentioned that we have 170,000 requests per second. So imagine checking all that load and trying to identify which of it is malicious and which is not. down to a single user, which of them is good and which is bad. So security is the first gateway. If we have secured it well enough, that means neither the rest of the funnel nor the rest of the marketplace domains needs to think about or deal with bad actors. It's going to be taken care of here. Now, next in the funnel is safety. So let's say the bad registrations were separated, so they are legit users on the platform. What safety takes care of is the behavior of the members. And that's very much about how they're talking, what the language is about. Are they trying to scam? Are they trying to phish somebody's sensitive details, etc.? And then the third part in the funnel is clean catalog. It's listings and the items that you can browse through. So that means all of those items that you can scroll through, are they not harmful? And the categories of harm can go all the way from a gun, drugs, and the way down to not clean sheets, for instance. So the categories of harm is really broad, and therefore the track is taking care of exactly that track. Did I just say the track is taking care of the track? Okay. All right, so security. Let's dig deeper what they do. So we are extremely humbled that the bad actors are so creative to hire Leonardo DiCaprio for some of the commercials of where and what you can buy. So you can spam Vinted, you can come to us. There are marketing plans that you can, if you feel like I don't want to spend too much to be a bad guy today, you can take a less costly plan. You can also go for a very expensive plan. Pablo Escobar came back from the dead just to send some messages about this. So what security is doing is getting a lot of information of sold accounts, stolen accounts, securing from account takeovers, because that is also possible if you've leaked your passports, if you've left them somewhere, just like for any other site. It's valid here as well. Somebody can just come in and try to abuse it. So security is on the lookout for all of those patterns. Last week, we had our security team flying to US to check, so how else do you secure the app? Because patterns keep on changing. No matter how good we are, it doesn't have a definition of done. One day you're good, the next day you forget about what success was looking like. We did get a confirmation in the US, learning from the same brands as Jeff was talking about, that we are very much on the same gateway and using very much the same methods as the big guys. So that gave us some affirmation. Of course, there's a lot to learn. But if there is one area you want to stay humble, then it's exactly here. As I mentioned, one day you can be extremely successful, and one last celebration that we've had was exactly when on Telegram we had bad actors lighting a candle next to Vinted's icon because it became so difficult for them to get to us. So that's a success to us, but that's one day, and then the next day, of course, they find new ways. So that's security. Now, safety. Some of the text you are seeing here is just peanuts. It's only tip of the iceberg. We definitely see way worse, way more, etc. But it's type of a behavior we need to protect our users from. Phishing, for instance, is, you definitely heard this maybe even from your grandmothers, that somebody's sending them text. So it's not Vinted related. It's just in general social engineering type of a trick of how do you get to members, ask for their personal details, and get them out. And that's how you get IBAN and get the money. Quite large portion of attacks we are experiencing now are associated exactly to phishing. It's back to what I mentioned in the beginning, that technology has boosted this a lot. It costs only $50 to become a phisher with no coding experience, and it provides you the databases, it provides you even marketed email campaigns and whatnot. And that's why not only Vinted, but all types of marketplaces have a headache now. How do you deal with that type of a behavior? Because there is no reason why a member would leave a Vinted platform and why they would need to provide the personal details, but people are still trusting the message. They're still trusting ways that people are getting to them and are not so suspicious of whether I should be sharing those details or not. Of course, like you can see in the message, in here it's not, some parts of the message are already giving away why it could get through, but that's why we continuously need to rework our features. If something gets through, we rely a lot on our members, which report those messages, that type of behavior, which allows us to check back. So how come our tools didn't catch the message or the item that I'll show in the next one? All right, then let's look at clean catalog. So every week we get around new 20 million uploads. That means each of them have to be scanned. It's not like in a warehouse where each of them can wait in the queue until you hang them. So everything needs to be processed as it comes and be divided, whether it will require manual moderation, whether it will require, whether it can go straight live to the marketplace. 1 million out of 20 million requires manual moderation. Most of it is because of recognizing a fake. So for instance, Gucci bag, whether it's original or not, just from the photos that are taken, it's not always so easy to distinguish. So that quite often requires manual moderation. Some of the content you are seeing here, it's somewhat easier to recognize with the models and with the tools that we have running in the back and understand whether it should upload or not. But imagine working and labeling these type of photos is definitely neither easy nor entertaining if you do this all day. And then talking about skills that we need when people are coming to trust and safety, or what we've seen ourselves. It's a lot to do about resilience, because imagine dealing with these attacks. Very often, and quite a lot, it may get to you, because not only it's one particular attack that is so intense, but it's in general that you can feel the responsibility for those 75 million members that we have, that any feature you develop, any attack is actually after all of them, and you do feel that responsibility weighing on you, how fast you have to mitigate it, how much you have to prevent from them being exposed to that harm. Adaptability and willingness to let it go. Everyone who invests their time and energy in building a code, developing a feature or whatever, knows the feeling when it's working, even if it has taken you a lot of time. If bad actors got to it, you'll need to rework it, and you can't keep it. We did have one example of, for instance, identifying duplicates where it seemed like a good idea, people invested time, but very soon we understood that it's something to be reworked, and then you cannot have so much don't kill my baby feeling, because you'll have to. And then a dash of a hacker's mindset. In general, people are good people, the ones that are working, be it at Vinted or companies like that. You don't come in with the mindset, how do I fraud? And it's not natural to think in bad ways. But when you see either those photos or those type of languages or the amounts of how somebody is trying to hack the accounts, then you naturally have to switch your mindset a little bit to understand how do they think. It's not only the feature that they developed for different marketing plans that you can re-engineer backwards, but it's simply understanding. So when they look at the marketplace, they click on the same buttons, but what do they see? Not only penetration testing results, but in general, what pathways do they see through compensation policies, through favoriting an item, all of those features that are created to boost the sales, to in general build traffic, they also must be seen through the eyes of how the fraudster sees it. Despite all the intensity and the requirements for resilience, the score that I'm showing on the screen is our engagement score, specifically for how we measure not the entirety of it, but meaningful work. It's something that keeps on rewarding in general, because at the end of the day, you feel that whether it was a low-key day, it didn't have the attacks, or it was an intense one, you definitely come back home as if you were on a mission. So if somebody feels like they're a little bit of detectives and think that they are about to have some sort of mission, then try to think of trust and safety as an area you might want to explore in the future. Thank you.